Eric, Chris, and Alex had been searching for a new location to shoot their next video. Their channel was already full of footage from abandoned places, but they knew their subscribers wanted something more thrilling. Someone had told them about an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, long abandoned by everyone. Nobody dared to go inside, especially after rumors started spreading that people had disappeared within its walls. But to Eric, it seemed like the perfect opportunity. They arrived in the evening with the gray sky still blending with shades of red and orange from the setting sun. The rusty gates groaned as Chris pushed them open and a blast of cold air hit their faces. Cooper, who was always skeptical about such outings, looked uneasy. "This might not be the best idea, guys," Cooper said, staring at the massive building before them. "It's just a warehouse," Alex replied. "We'll go in, take a few shots, and get out. No big deal." They switched on their flashlights and moved inside. The dark hallways were illuminated only by the narrow beams of their lights, and each echo of their footsteps felt ominous. Eric couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Do you feel that?" Eric asked, stopping and glancing around. "Feel what?" Chris replied, looking back at him. "Like there's someone else here." Alex chuckled. "It's just your imagination. Places like this always give off that vibe." But soon it became clear that it wasn't just his imagination. They heard a loud scraping noise, like something heavy being dragged across the floor somewhere deep in the building. They froze. "What was that?" Cooper whispered, his face pale. Eric tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. The sound came again, closer this time. All three slowly began to back away. "We need to leave," Alex whispered. But as they turned to leave, the gate they had entered through slammed shut with a deafening crash. They were trapped.
Eric was jolted awake by a loud knocking at the door. For a moment, he thought he might have been dreaming, but the noise came again. He glanced at the clock. 3 a.m. Who could be knocking at this hour? His heart started to race, and he got up to check the door. "Who's there?" he called out without opening it. No one answered, but the knocking became more insistent. Eric slowly turned the key and opened the door, expecting to see someone on the other side. But there was no one. He looked out into the hallway. Empty. His heart pounded harder. He shut the door and stepped back. But then he heard footsteps, now coming from inside the apartment. The steps grew louder, approaching his bedroom. Eric stood frozen, staring at the door as it slowly creaked open. He knew he was alone in the apartment, but the footsteps said otherwise. When the door swung fully open, a shadow entered, a figure unrecognizable in the dim light. It moved slowly toward him. Eric tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure stopped at the foot of his bed, then leaned down toward him. Suddenly, everything plunged into darkness.